What is going on, guys? God bless you. Carlos here with Serrano's Mobile Detail in Dallas, Texas. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video. Today we are I think we're in Garland, Texas today. We're working on this Subaru Forester to my left, maybe your right. We're gonna be doing strictly seats. But on today's video, really what I want to talk about is a topic that I don't see a lot of people talking about, and that is, do you offer a la carte packages only? And if you've never done a la carte, or maybe you're wondering what the heck is a la carte, that is pretty much single item packages, if that makes sense. So in this video, we're strictly doing just the seats. Now, when it comes to that, a lot of detailers tend to have like a good 50-50 opinion on doing just single item packages. So that's really what today's video is about. As we clean these seats, we'll talk a little bit of what we're going to be using, how we're going to tackle it. We're going to talk about pricing. Is this something that is beneficial to your business? So let me get all set up and we'll get started on this project. So the tools we are going to be using on today's project is, we're going to be using a dry pot. Obviously this is going to be used after I do the extraction. This dry pot is going to start drying these seats for me. The other tool we're going to be using obviously is the Milwaukee 90 degree. For our first step, obviously, is going to be blowing all the interior. So we're going to use the Rack Company Air Blaster Plus, and we are going to be using the Flex product line. Obviously, I ran out of Flex Citrus and Flex Bio Brake, so the only one I have left right now is actually Flex Fire. So we're going to be using Flex Fire as our pre-spray, and we're going to be using Flex Eyes as our neutralizer. Now, before you guys who use Flex products, you don't mix these two together, because Flex Fire is recommended to be used with Flex Citrus. So you're supposed to pair those together. Well, since I don't have that, I'm using our Flex Fire as our pre-spray, and then obviously neutralizer, which is Flex Eyes, to neutralize all the previous, like from anything soiling up, right? Now I know what you're thinking. Why aren't you using the PNS threesome? Well, for this one, honestly guys, I just want to go with my method, which I like it better. So this is kind of what we are going to be using for today's project. So not a lot of stuff out, so let's get right to it. Before we start this conversation, in the comment section down below, please let me know, do you offer a la carte packages? Do you offer single item, right? Such as, do you do just carpet? Do you do just seats? Do you just do the headliners if they want it, right? Let me know in the comment section, because I would love to know. I know that for me, you know, it's one of those subjects that it's like, I'm gonna show you how this car looks completely. As a detailer, this needs like the whole interior done, right? I would rather have the whole interior than just the seats. But let me know, do you guys offer just single item packages? And what would you charge for seats only? In my business, just seats only starts at $150. So for these seats here in this condition, it's $150. Now to some it may be a lot, to some, you know, maybe too little, but in my package I don't have anything that's less than 150, right? It was really going to be 200, but they're not really in bad shape. Really, the front ones are the worst. The back, minimal. So I was like, you know what, I'll do it for $150, and we're gonna really extract the seats. We're gonna clean them up. He's fixing to sell this vehicle, so he just wants the seats to look good. So that's what we booked for, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. Obviously, if he changes his mind, I'd still have time. For a full interior detail on this vehicle in this condition that it's in, he'd probably be roughly about $450 all in for this vehicle. $500 if he decides to do the headliner as well. But you know, I believe we want to stay in a budget. He's selling it, so he's probably gonna give the burden to the next person, but at least he wants to get these seats cleaned up pretty well. But for the seats only, $150. We're gonna begin this process with doing our pre-spray. Obviously the pre-spray of choice is Flex Fire. This is very I don't know, in my opinion, I would say an aggressive cleaner. Obviously, I think the name says it, it's fire. So, you know, this one here really gets into the grime. This one gets really into all this, the dirt and everything. So we're gonna spray. And as you guys know, I tend to spray the seats pretty heavily. That's just choice, obviously, because I do have a very strong extractor. That's one of the reasons why I spray heavily, because my extractor has some big motors, so it really sucks everything out. So for me, I always spray heavily to get into really all the staining, get all this soil loosened up really well. And then we'll give it a good maybe like 12 minutes, and then I'm gonna come back and we start our agitation process on these seats, to where I agitate them, and then I'll begin my extraction going. Right now I have the Mighty extractor. I have it with the heating element on, because there is a lot of buildup. So I really want to make sure that the extractor can remove a lot of that buildup, so that heat is going to put in work. And now we go. And as we continue on this project, quick tip. You might be wondering, or you might be noticing, that there is not a lot of sling all over this interior, all over the plastics. How I'm able to obtain that is for one simple tip that I can give you, or one simple thing that I do, is I let the product dwell into the fabric. Most of the detailers, what I've seen they do is they spray and then they start agitating and it starts slinging everywhere, right? You have to let your product work, right? So if you saw, I spray it, kind of let it dwell, let it kind of seep into all the material, and then I'm coming back obviously with my drill brush and agitating. But if you notice throughout the video, there is very minimal sling, and that is how I obtain that process of not really throwing all this stuff all over the doors and the plastics and all of that. Right here, this little area here where you already see a little bit of kind of shedding, deterioration. Obviously, when you look over the vehicle, let your customers know, like, hey, I do see this. Just know that I'm going to be very careful in that area, because we do not want to agitate too hard, because then you're going to loosen more of those fibers. So always look at the vehicle so that the customer can look at it and make sure that visually he's seeing it That way there's no misunderstanding. Last thing you want is him to say like, hey man, you damaged my seats, right? So always look over. And then obviously in this area, just be very light. Don't put too much force on the seat itself, because you don't want that cloth material to just start breaking off. One of the tools that I love to use, and I always pair it this way, and this is one of the reasons why you're charging what you're charging, right? Because even though you agitate it with a drill brush, there is still a lot of buildup, right? So what I tend to do after I do my drill brushing, I will come with my Rag Company Air Blaster Plus or your Tornado brand, whatever you want, right? You can do it without chemical. Obviously what I have in here is a little bit of rinseless, and watch how it starts breaking off the stains. As soon as you finish extracting, grab your AirPod and put this bad boy on here so it can start drying your material. And then just continue around. And for those who maybe are new to extraction, maybe you're tired of having like a bunch of stuff spilling everywhere, right? Or your product is coming up too much, or you have an extractor that you're not able to regulate, like the water. I have a big extractor, and when I purchased it, obviously it doesn't have a water regulator. What that just means is just you're able to decrease how much pressure is coming out of your extraction nozzle, right? So for that, if you've kind of been wondering, I'll try to look for the link for that one. But I purchased this. A1 Auto Clean actually showed me this a while back. But you're able to bring down the pressure so you don't induce too much water and you're extracting more of the chemical, if that makes sense. So this has been really, really cool. But as we continue cleaning this vehicle, you're gonna see a little bit on how I clean like the backrest on the seats. And one way to eliminate a lot of that water coming down heavily and just going into the bottom portion of your seat, I always recommend that you extract up instead of down, because as you're extracting up, it's really picking up all that water coming out of your gun. So it's better to vacuum up instead of vacuuming and extracting down, if that makes sense. And same thing on your seats, right? On the bottom portion of your seats, it's okay. But that's why I tend to usually start on the top of the seats first, and then I'll do the bottoms. That way, if you do the bottom portion first, then this is clean. And what tends to happen is all that water coming down is literally going right back to your seat, right? So what I'm trying to eliminate is time. So always extract these backrest up. So pretty much like this up instead of coming down, because as you're coming down, all that water is literally coming heavily down into the seat. What the crap? Bro, no, 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 no. Oh, no way. Ding, 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 ding. All right. All right, guys. So we ran into a mild, so minor issue. After 6 years, my heating pump has given up, and it's not working. Of course, it had to be on a day that I'm doing some pretty stressed out seats. But the solution to that, temporarily until I go buy that new pump, is we're gonna go kind of. So what I have in here is flex ice. So what I'm gonna be doing for now is we're gonna pump this product. So what I'm gonna be doing is pretty much I'm just gonna be spraying the seat, and then as I'm spraying it, I'm extracting. So that's pretty much my only game plan for right now, to get this seat done. So let's get right to it. Tip when working with cloth seats, guys, if you notice, there's a towel on here, and the reason I tend to put a towel on the edges of the seats is because as this seat's drying, all the product's coming down, right? And at times you'll notice there is some sort of light soiling, staining at that bottom piece. So by doing that, everything that's coming down, I kind of have it usually wrapped like this, right? So whatever's coming down is going to your microfiber and is getting any residual that's coming down. But that's just one of the tips that I tend to use, is put a towel in between the seats so that it's drying. As it's drying, everything is coming and is getting onto your microfiber towel. And to finalize this video, we're gonna go ahead and just kind of talk about these topics really quickly, and at the end I'll kind of show you a little bit of how this seats turned out. But when it comes to just providing like one set package, right, a la carte, is it something I like to do? I'm gonna be very honest, is no. You know, and I think I said that in the beginning, is I don't like doing these types of packages because, one, I'm very, your detailing brain is telling you, man, you gotta hit the carpet, man, you gotta hit this stain, you gotta hit these plastics, right? But that's not what the customers are paying for, right? So also, when you're doing just one specific area, like if they tell you just seats, the cost is a little bit higher because you're not really gonna make that long drive from wherever you live just to do like seats, right? So that's why I used to do seats only for like $80, but as the business grew, you know, I had to make adjustments, right? Is me driving all the way over here worth it, right? So I had to kind of change the pricing a little bit. So now it starts at $150, whether they're like, oh, I just want my seats, that's fine. It's $150 for seat cleaning, right? That way it covers me, right, at the end of the day. But it's not those types of scenarios that I like to do, because like I'm looking at the doors and it's like, do I want to scrub them? Do I want to clean them? Do I want to condition them? And it's like, no, Carlos, you just stick to what you're getting paid to do, right? Obviously, for this one, I ended up just kind of giving it a vacuum because the carpet was bothering me. So I did a vacuum on the carpet, that's it. But it's like, if you pan out and it's like you're seeing stains here and there, it makes it very difficult as a detailer, right? But that's why I try to, you know, make it sound better for them. It's better for the customer to always go with your full package, right? So this one here, like I said, it would have been like $450. And even though it's a little bit more, but everything was gonna get touched, right? But you know, you win some, you lose some. And at the end of the day, I'm not here to force the customer like, you need to go with this package, right? I know there's some detailers out there that will say, oh, my package is all or nothing. You know, if they don't want the whole thing, I'm not doing it. But if you price it accordingly, it makes sense to your business to really. This literally took me about 1 hour to do, maxed out, right? An hour and a half, and I'm out of here, right? And I think at 150, it's very fair. It was 200, but once I got here, honestly, it's an older gentleman. These seats, they're not really in bad shape, so I was like, I'll do it for 150. So, you know, sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't make sense, but, you know, I try to help everybody as much as I can. But it's not something that I like to do as a mobile detailer. I love to do the full packages. Like, I want to get everything clean. But hey, you can't always do those, right? But that's just my opinion, right? But you always have to charge a little bit more on these because you're just going for one thing, right? As to if they go with everything, I think the pricing would make sense, right? Obviously, my interior details start at $300, so theoretically, for $150 more, he could have just got everything done on this car, right? But he didn't. Next, you know, it's something that you and your business, you have to think about. Like, do I want to do those? You know, or if you just want to be one of those detailers to say, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it, don't do it, right? But overall, the condition of this vehicle was not that bad. Only the front was a little bit rough, and you're kind of going to see a little bit right now of the after. Obviously, it's still drying, so I do apologize, but you can see clearly night and day difference on these seats. I love the way they came out. Even with that little issue I had with my extractor, these seats came out really, really well. Obviously, like we said, the products we used today were Flex products, Flex Fire as our pre-spray, Flex Ice as our neutralizer. We use the Rack Company Air Blaster Plus to loosen up all that soiling and everything, and it gives you just much more cleanliness, more in-depth cleaning out of the fabric. And then, as always, we use our Milwaukee 90-degree drill. Let me tell you why I love this tool. Because your hand is gonna thank you. You won't get as many cramps in the summer from holding that drill all uncomfortably, if that makes sense. As to this one, you're literally just like, it just makes sense, guys. So sometimes you can get it on sale for like 90 bucks, I think is what I paid for this one. I already had the battery, so to me it made sense. But whenever you can, pick a 90-degree. Trust me, you're gonna thank me. Tell me later, bro, that was such a smart idea. My hands don't hurt that much anymore after a long day. I don't get cramps anymore, but this was the tool we used today. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. As always, God bless you guys, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.